Welcome to part 6 of Let's Play Scorpion Swamp by Steve Jackson. In this part we're going to be making a start to the Evil Quest. Okay, here's paragraph 1 again, and off we go. The path that you must travel is a long one, for Scorpion Swamp lies to the far west of the kingdom. As you travel, you have many experiences that a less seasoned traveller would call adventures. To you, fighting orcs and goblins, defying evil wizards and slaying giant wolves are all in a day's work. As you travel farther west, the mountains around you turn to hills, the hills to plains, and the plains to damp lowlands. You know that Scorpion Swamp cannot be far away. When you enter the little town of Fenmarge, no one finds you remarkable. Many travellers pass through here. Your sturdy helmet and sharp sword indicate you are a fighter not to be trifled with, but this is not uncommon. But when, sitting in the local tavern, you announce your plan to explore the swamp, the listeners are dumbfounded. They cluster around you, pushing back the battered benches to make room. The swamp, they tell you, holds the bones of many such as you. Not only is it trackless and infested with vermin, monsters, and starving bandits, but a group of wizards calling themselves the Masters have recently claimed Scorpion Swamp for their own. One of them, a big burly man escorted by 2 great grey wolves, visited this very tavern last week. He didn't say much, they tell you, but he didn't seem the sort to welcome trespassers on his property. Okay, and for the last time, there's the tavern again. It almost looks like that man is sort of imprinted on that man's apron, sort of. Anyway. As the conversation continues, you realise that the villagers are sure you will die in the swamp. We can't let you go, they say. One even makes so bold as to put his calloused hand on your shoulder to restrain you as you start to walk out of the door. Will you challenge them for their impertinence and turn to 48? Or politely explain that you are determined and turn to 95. Okay, I do know that if you do challenge them for their impertinence, you lose a luck point and that's it, and you feel embarrassed or something. Anyway, let's turn to 95. Now, the villagers shake their heads as you turn towards the door, but make no further attempts to dissuade you. But before you reach the door, a villager blocks your path. He is a short, middle-aged fellow with a black beard cut square across the bottom. At first you take him for a farmer, but he seems more interested in you than any farmer should be. He takes your arm and leads you to a table in the corner of the tavern. The others have gone back to their chatting, and you find yourself willing to hear what this quiet man will say to you. He introduces himself as Gronar. If you really intend to brave the terrors of the swamp, he says, you ought to have some purpose rather than random mapping and beast slaying. If you agree with him, turn to 240. If you disagree, turn to 122. Okay, we agree with him, of course, so turn to 240. You agree with Gronar. Your journey would be much more interesting if you had a mission to accomplish as well. He nods. There are 3 men in this village now, he tells you, who cannot go into the swamp themselves, but each one has need of a strong fighter willing to venture there. The first of the 3 is an old wizard devoted to the cause of good. He stops to quaff a long draught from his mug. If you want to hear him out, turn to 205. If you want to interrupt him to say that you will serve only good, turn to 155. Okay, we want to hear him out like last time. Otherwise we have to serve good. Gronar orders another pitcher of ale and settles back in his chair. Celator is the good wizard, he says. Grimslade appears to serve the forces of evil, though a simple man like me cannot be sure about such things. And Poomchucker is a very strange fellow indeed. No one knows much about him, but he is powerful. Each of them has made it known that he seeks a champion to enter the swamp. More than that, you will not learn without visiting them. Will you? Help the good wizard Celator, turn to 235. Risk aiding the forces of evil if the prophet is right, and visit the sinister Grimslade, turn to 255, or take your chances with the mysterious Poomchucker. Okay, this time we're going to visit Grimslade and risk aiding the forces of evil. Let's turn to 255. Grimslade lives by himself in a tower very near the swamp. When you ask for directions, no one wants to talk to you. One old lady makes the sign of the evil eye at you, and a young girl flees. Eventually, a skinny ruffian in the marketplace gives you directions, and you set off to meet the wizard whom everyone fears. As soon as you see his tower, your brass ring begins to get hot. Grimslade is evil, very evil indeed. The feeling grows stronger as you approach the dark, jagged tower with its strange arches and its gruesome statuary. If you go on up to the door, turn to 40. If you turn back and return to the village, turn to 139. Okay, we're going to go up to the door and turn to 40. You control your fear and approach the gloomy tower. Bats circle around the upper story. As you step towards the great iron door, you see a hideous face sculpted on it. Then the door swings open before you. Grimslade stands waiting. He is tall and skeletally thin. The crimson designs on his black robe seem to glow. He greets you pleasantly, but your ring, hot on your finger, continues to warn you that you are in the presence of evil. "I know all about you," he says. "You want to explore the swamp. That meddling fool Gronar sent you here. But what makes you think you are worthy of my time? I need a hero who is afraid of nothing. Will you challenge him to a combat, 10 to 4. Explain that you are a hardy warrior and that your magic ring will prevent you from losing your way, 10 to 50. Or smile and say that you fear nothing, 10 to 97. Okay, we're going to smile and say that we fear nothing. Okay. And there's Grimslade's tower. Looks like a hippo's head with bat wings up there. Anyway, let's have another look at it. It must have been a pain to build that on that jagged rock. Anyway, turn to 97. Although it was built by, well, it was maybe built by Grimslade himself, who's a wizard, so that makes sense. Anyway, fine, he replies, smiling. You see that his teeth are pointed. He waves his hand at the wall where a statue of a goblin is standing. It quivers and moves towards you, brandishing a stone sword. If you want to run away, turn to 315. If you choose to fight the statue, turn to 284. Okay, we're going to fight the statue, so turn to 284, because we did say that we fear nothing. So, fighting the statue is the only option here. As the sorcerer laughs, his stony creature shuffles towards you. You realise that your sword will be of little use against a creature made of living rock. Thinking quickly, you bring your sword down on the wizard's table instead. Your blade cleaves the wood, cutting off one of the table's legs. You scoop up the improvised club, dropping your sword, and face the statue with this much more appropriate weapon. Grimslade, impressed by your strength and quick wits, has stopped his evil laughter and watches attentively as you fight. Goblin statue, skill 7, stamina 6. If you destroy the statue, turn to 156. If the fight goes against you, you may escape, turn to 215. Okay, so goblin statue. This is an evil quest, so we have to fight almost instantly to prove our worth. So 7, 6. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I've kept the same skill and stamina and luck from before. 6. Let's do this. So the old dice program. Get it on D6, and then 2 dice. Okay, rolling for the statue first, of course. So he was skill 7 and stamina 6. Yeah, okay. Get that back up actually. There we go. Okay, so 7 plus 7 is 14. So 14 to 18, I think, wasn't it? My skill was 10. So 14 to 18. Puts him down to 4. Okay, next. 9, that's 16 to 17. That was close. 16 to 17. That wouldn't impress Grimslade if I lost a round, would it? 16 to 17. And then perhaps the last one. Oh dear. 19 to 17. No, Grimslade's not impressed. I've lost some stamina already. Okay, so we've lost 2 stamina points. Perhaps Grimslade will heal us, but he is evil, of course, so maybe not. 15 to 21, that's better. Yeah, we've won now, good. 15 to 21, and that's the end of the goblin statue. So let's get rid of the buzzing, goodbye. Annoying buzzing, and then let's continue reading and go to 156 because we destroyed the statue. Okay. You are breathing heavily, but you are still alive. Your opponent has been reduced to a heap of gravel which is scattered over the floor. You laugh at Grimslade and toss the table leg over your shoulder. It lands with a thump amid the remains of a bookcase knocked over in the fight. Grimslade is eyeing the wreckage of his parlour. If you were not wounded in the fight, turn to 241. If you were wounded but lost 5 or fewer stamina points, because we can count them, they're discrete things, so it shouldn't be 5 or less, it should be 5 or fewer stamina points. Because 5 or less would imply that we can have 4.9, it'd be continuous data, so 4.9 stamina points, 4.99, so on and so forth. Whereas 5 or fewer implies I can only have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, discrete data. Anyway, so if you're wounded but lost 5 or fewer stamina points, turn to 193. If you lost 6 or more stamina points in the fight, turn to 326. Okay. Okay, so if we weren't injured, if we weren't wounded, Grimslade will give us a magic sword, which gives us 1 skill point, I think, or something like that. If less than 6 damage is taken, we recover. Well, we're going to recover all stamina and luck points, and if more than 6 damage is taken, apparently we tell him it was his idea to have the fight in the first place and kill him. And apparently we actually go to we actually kill Grimslade or something like that. Anyway, so we were wounded but lost 5 or fewer stamina points. Let's turn to 193. Yeah, that's apparently what happens. Grimslade scowls, looking at the destruction. Then he shrugs and laughs. Let's talk business. He leads you into another room, then vanishes for a second and reappears, holding several potions. Drink these, they'll put you right. Warily you study the glinting bottles, then slowly you drink one. He laughs at your concern, but you do indeed feel better. The bottle was a healing potion. You drink up the rest of the bottles and conceal your sigh of relief when you find yourself hale and hearty. Your scores are all up to their initial values now. Turn to 206. Okay, good. Puts us up to 24 again. And we're turning to 206. You are seated in Grimslade's study. An ornate mirror hangs on one wall. At least it looks like a mirror, but the scene it shows is constantly changing. The walls are covered with dusty shelves full of huge books, odd-looking bottles, strange objects that might be mummified animals, and other weird objects. I am a collector, Grimslade tells you, of knowledge and artifacts. Not long ago, something strange happened. Several wizards moved into Scorpion Swamp. Wizards about whom I know nothing. Their powers are great but limited, and they seem to be involved with nature. One, I know, controls wolves. Another seems to be a master of plants. My mirror cannot get a clear view of the swamp, but I have spied on them as much as I could. Their powers seem to come from the silver amulets they wear. Well, what exactly do you want me to do, you ask? And what will you pay me, he replies. And what will you pay me? He replies, I want those amulets. I want at least 3 of them. If you can get more, so much the better. I don't care how you get them. I will pay you 500 gold pieces for each one you bring back. And what magical aid can you give me, you ask? Grimslade laughs. I can make you a wizard, well, almost. I will give you 6 enchanted spell gems, no more, but that should be enough to see you through, considering the sword arm you've shown me. You talk with Grimslade about the spells you will use. Refer to the magic spells list in the front of the book and pick 6 spells. You must pick from the evil and neutral lists, and not from the good list. You may choose a spell more than once, as long as the total is 6. Write the spells down on your adventure sheet. You take your leave of Grimslade and head towards the marsh. Scorpion Swamp seems cheery and inviting after the evil wizard's tower. Your quest is this: get the amulets of at least 3 of the masters and bring them back to Grimslade. Turn to 9 to begin your journey. Okay, so we're going to choose a wither spell, because it's evil, 2 stamina, 2 curse, and a skill. So we're going to choose wither, stamina times 2. Curse times 2, and a skill. So that's 6 in total. Okay, now I'll quickly turn to 9, and then I'm going to have to stop the video because unfortunately I need to be up in the morning, and I'm doing this quite late at night, so I need to stop now. Yeah, so I'm been a bit pushed for time lately, hence I was hoping to get this video done last weekend, but unfortunately I have been extremely busy doing lots of stuff, so I hope you'll forgive me. So only 15 minutes long this video, but we will do paragraph 9 next time. But just before I leave, just before I end the video, I will quickly show you what happens if you excuse me, sorry, if you lose more than 6 stamina points or whatever. So 97. Yep, 284. Blimey. Yeah, 156. 326. Okay. Okay. He looks at the broken table, the scattered books, the smashed crockery, the wreckage of the statue strewn across the floor, and then he looks again at you. His face twists with anger and disdain. "Why should I bother with you?" he asks. "You were barely good enough to defeat one little statue, and you've wrecked my parlour." Will you crawl to his feet to apologise? Turn to 98. Turn and run? Turn to 315. Remind him that he was the one who wanted to stage a battle in his parlour in the first place. Turn to 225. Let's have 98 or 225. Let's have a look at both. Let's do 98 first. Yeah, you feel a dull, heavy blow land on the back of your head. You collapse at the wizard's feet, dropping your sword. Looking up, you see that he seems to have grown enormously, but in fact it is you who have shrunk. I hate it when they do that. It's you who has shrunk. No, it's you who have shrunk, because you have shrunk, not you has shrunk. It is you who have shrunk to the size of an insect. You flee, tripping over your own legs as you run. He laughs and lets you go. You run up the wall and hide in a crack, and Grimslade goes about his business. Eventually you become hungry. You spin a web and hope for a tasty fly. Already you are forgetting your former life. Your adventure is over. Okay, that's what happens if you sort of crawl at his feet. I mean, what did you expect? And then this one is what happens if we tell him that it was he who wanted to stage the fight or whatever. "Impudent fool," the sorcerer screams, "you will die by my own hand." He produces an ebony wand from his robes and he brandishes it. As he brandishes it, it becomes a jagged sword that glows red. You have no choice, you must fight him. Skill 9, stamina 10. Should he kill you, perhaps in your next incarnation you will be more careful when dealing with evil wizards. If you kill him, turn to 140. Your blade sinks deep into his chest. He looks at you in disbelief and starts to speak. Then he dies. The jagged blade slips from his fingers. Curious about its strange design, you pick it up. Instantly you realize that it is one of the magic swords of great power, which adds 2 to the skill of its user. No wonder he was such a good swordsman. You start to search the rest of the wizard's sinister tower to see what treasures he might have hidden away, but the air is becoming thick and oppressive. Your ring is still warning you of evil. More, if possible, than before. You smell brimstone. Will you... Yeah, so now it says what happened. You can stay here, or you can seek out Celator or Poomchucker. But I'll quickly see 375. So effectively, if you kill him, you get to start Poomchucker or Celator's quest, but with a magic sword. Yeah, this is it. You ignore the awful odour and search the tower, humming happily to yourself as you stuff books and gold statues into a sack. Suddenly you hear a hissing sound. You spin around and see a great black shadow. 2 slitted glowing eyes regard you from the darkness. "Thank you, mortal," says the hissing voice. "I've waited a long time for his soul. Now it is mine." You flee in fear as the shadow hovers over Grimslade's body, but you don't have time to escape. You have not yet reached the front door when the smell of brimstone becomes unbearable. Then the entire tower glows red hot and explodes. Your adventure is over. Oh, that's that. Anyway, so next video I'll be doing, starting from paragraph 9 and doing Grimslade's quest. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.